I forgot that I had to start the recording for this. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Stretch Glass Society virtual meeting. And in this one, we're going to have our Stretch Glass Society theme, Tangerine and Amber Stretch Glass. I want to begin with what are the elements that are used in making tangerine and amber glass. Tangerine glass is made, the colorants that are applied to it are selenium and cadmium sulfide. And what I find is interesting is that many of you know of our ruby glass, which is also a selenium glass. And so some of the same elements that are used in ruby are also used in tangerine. And this may give us some of the reasons why some of the tangerine does have some reddish overtones to it. Another feature to me to selenium and cadmium is they are what we consider to be striking colorants, and that is when they come out of the pot, the glass itself appears more of a yellowish. And so the item that you see in the upper left-hand corner there is one that appears more like it comes out of the pot. Then if you heat that glass in a reduction firing, one that lacks a little bit of oxygen, is heavy in carbon dioxide in it, it will strike and become more of a reddish color. And so you can see the bowl on the upper right has struck and now has more of the orange or reddish overtones to it. Amber glass, on the other hand, uses one of the cheapest materials that you can find, and that's carbon, and often with sulfur. And again, depending on the amount of carbon and sulfur that you add to the batch, you can end up with a light amber, like we see with the US glass bowl on the lower left. Or if you add quite a bit, you can end up with a really dark brown amber glass, like we see in the bowl on the lower right-hand side. Now, again, as I've indicated to you, tangerine is a striking color. It starts out yellowish, and then in a reduction firing, when they reheat this in the glory hole in the factory, if it is a reduction heat and they leave it in long enough, it will strike and turn to this dark orange. Now, here you can see a fan base where virtually all of it struck very well, has a very dark orange color. Yet if you look at the very base of it, the thing that was held in the snap, that still has some of the yellowish tones. Now, if this were ruby glass, we would consider that to be amberina. The top part would be ruby and the bottom part would be the amberina. So again, since the same elements were used in tangerine glass that's used in ruby glass, we see the same kind of striking. Here's a twin dolphin comport, and here you can see that this one didn't strike very well. It wasn't put in the glory hole for a long length of time, and it really has some of those orangish tints right along the upper edge and on the ends of the dolphins. And so this one is one that didn't strike very heavily. Another feature of the tangerine is that when it does strike, it can get a really dark orange color. And here we see the salver along the edges on the outside margin of the bowl part of it really struck very heavily with the dark tangerine. Here's a couple of examples of some guest sets, and you can see the one here on the left struck really deep tangerine color, but the one over here on the right actually is more opalescent.
Bringing up this way.
What I wanted to show in this one is that the other guest set over here didn't strike all that well, but it did strike an opalescent effect, and again, it just depends on the amount of phosphorus that's in the mix as to whether you get this opalescence or not. So who made it? It's kind of interesting. In some of the more modern glass, there in the 50s and 60s, there were quite a few companies that made orange glass that we would consider to be tangerine. But when it comes to stretch glass, only Fenton made it. And according to their records, they started making Tangerine in 1927 and they ceased production of the original Tangerine in 1929. It appears, from what I've gathered from the records, their first Tangerine that they made in 1927 was actually not iridized. It would be plain Tangerine, not iridized. So probably it's really 28 and 29 is when the Tangerine was given the stretch effect. When it comes to amber, we've got a lot more companies that made amber. The primary ones that you're going to find most of the amber is US glass, probably followed by Fenton, Imperial, and Vineland. But I do want to point out that Northwood did make, late in their production, just before they went out of business, a Rosita amber. This is a really dark brown amber with somewhat reddish tones. We believe that we have one piece of that that was iridized and given the stretch effect, and we'll see that a little bit later. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and see if anybody's got any questions. And again, the easiest way for you to do this is either unmute yourself and just ask the question, or you can ask a question down in the chat. I brought the chat up and I can take a look at that and see if anybody has a question there. Does anybody have a question on what striking means or anything like that?
Yes, I was wondering if there's a if collectors have a preference for the amount of striking in the Tangerine glass, or whether it's all just a matter of individual taste.
My feeling is the collectors, the oranger it is and the more opalescent it is, the higher the value. Okay. But I think the other reality is that not everybody's going to get that primo piece. And it's a little bit almost like what you see with Amberina or ruby glass. Imperial tried to make their ruby glass really Amberina. They didn't strike it ruby through and through. But Fenton, Frank Fenton always stated that the Fenton Art Glass Company prided themselves to try to make their ruby red through and through. Though they did accept things that were Amberina and sold them that way, but their attempt was to strike it through and through. And it's obvious that they didn't do that with the Tangerine, otherwise all of the Tangerine pieces would be that deep dark orange, and so they didn't have that same production standard when it came to the orange. Good question. Hearing no more questions, let's get on and take a look at some more glass.
David, I have a question.
Oh, okay.
Somewhat related to the last question. Say the number 200 guest set. You were saying the darker Tangerine is more desirable than the less, but that, like the other guest set you had a lot of opal in it.
Yes. and that one would be a real, for those of you that collect carnival glass, opalescence has a special value. And so in that case, if I remember correctly, the Tangerines guest set that was less orange but had a lot of opalescence actually sold more than the one that was really nicely Tangerine. And so again, in that case, it probably is personal preference. The problem that I've got with a lot of the Tangerine, when it strikes, it may only strike a very thin edge around it. And I've had, we've actually had some of our dealers, auctioneers, that have declared the Tangerine is opalescent. And then when the person got it, they said, well, it's just a little thin band of opalescence on that. And they were dissatisfied. They were hoping it to be opalescent all the way through. But that's a very rare occurrence when it comes to the Tangerine glass.
Now, would you say that, as you were saying, so would a true hardcore stretch collector than a carnival glass collector, they would prefer the tangerine color, the darker color, as opposed to having the opal in it, like your example on the right?
I think that I don't want to get into everybody's personal preferences, but what I really wanted to do is present to everybody that when you're talking about tangerine glass, it can be pretty complicated. And there's a reason why some pieces, they may be the same item, but some of them sell for a lot more than others. And again, it's because they probably had better color or some opalescence in them or something like that.
And personal as always, depending on that person, what they desire.
Yep.
Thank you.
I always joke with people, it also depends on whether you're the seller or the buyer. Okay, let's take a look at some of the pieces. I've got for those of you that don't know me, every time that we have a stretch glass convention in person, I usually set up a photo booth and I take pictures of people's glass if they're willing to let me take a picture of that. And I've also visited people. So when you see all of these pictures, these are not my glass, or not necessarily my glass, but they're pieces that I've obtained pictures of over time. In this first group, we have the candy jars, and these are the jars that I know about. It would be really interesting if any of you have a jar that's in addition to this. We'd really like to know about that. I know that Russell Umbraco has a sort of a wide base puff jar, which might also be considered to be a candy jar or a bonbon, but I don't have a picture of that one. He's shown it to us sometimes when we've had some of our other meetings, but it's not shown up at the convention for me to get a picture of. Here are the candle holders, and this is really interesting to me. The 318 and 317 and 316 are really relatively common in Tangerine, and as you can see, there's a wide range. Here are a pair of Tangerine candle holders, the 318s here at the top. And you can see that they didn't strike the deep orange as well as the 317s and 316s, but they do have an amberine edge to them. Question? Okay. And also the 8.5 inch 449s are known. I think I only know of 2 pairs of these, and then 1 single. And so that's the tough one to find. As far as I know, none of the 349s, the 10-inch ones, have ever shown up. But these are pretty much the candle holders that you'll find in Tangerine, and the short ones are relatively obtainable.
Dave, did you see you had a couple of questions in your chat?
When I'm sharing my screen, I can't see the chat box. But as soon as
there's been about 3 chat boxes. Okay.
Okay, I'll stop here in just a second, and then I'll get to those questions. When it comes to the handled servers, probably the one that's actually quite obtainable is the 317. I know of a fair number of those. They can come in this fruit bowl shape with the edge turned up or flat, which would be the true handled server. There is an oval one. It's kind of hard to see in this picture, but this one is actually in an oval shape, not a round shape. And notice the difference in the striking of the round one versus the oval one. There are a couple of the lemon servers. Those are quite difficult to find. I know of one lemon server where the colorant wasn't mixed very well and actually has some interesting orange swirls in it. There's a couple of the oval butter balls, the little handled servers. And then they took the 1043 candy jar and made that into card trays and salvers. And since the card array is kind of a server, I went ahead and put that in here. Speaking of some other servers, there is a Fenton 316 cheese and cracker set known in Tangerine. I only know of one complete set of that, but I suspect there's got to be more of them out there. And the most interesting one is the relish jar and plate. The plate on this one is quite large. It's a good 12 inches or more in diameter with this jar that goes inside of it. This jar and plate, I think, is listed in John Madeley and I's book as being U.S. glass. And the reason for that is that at that time, the only ones that had shown up were green and Celeste blue. And so we kind of thought, well, you know, it could be almost anybody. Frank Fenton never would commit to it until this set showed up with the tangerine jar and the tangerine plate. And of course, I love the story. When we showed that to Frank, he said, oh, well, I guess it's ours. And so we found out again, because of the color, it's definitely a Fenton piece. There's a lot of dolphins. It's virtually all the twin dolphins come in a variety of tangerines. And again, you can see some that have struck really deep orange and others that have more of the yellowish cast to them. As I was saying, there's very few of the bath items that are around. My feeling is that since there is a 53 puff box that's known, there's got to be a 53 cologne. But the only one that I've got in record is the 54 cologne in Tangerine. And then one of our not one of our members, but one of the Fenton Club members showed up about a year and a half ago with the flower top tangerine cologne. Obviously that is a really rare and primo piece.
Yeah.
When it comes to what I call just sort of the miscellaneous things, the number 2 cream and sugar is known. Remember, these have applied handles on them. The more obtainable is the number 3 cream and sugar, but none of these are easy to find. I remember that the Burns wall auction, in the last one, they had a set of 3 plates in the diamond optic for the cups, but and Burns was saying, I wish I had the cups for it, but there is at least one set of the cup and plate that's out there. There's also a little sherbet that's out there, and I know of a couple of the mayonnaises, but trying to find the mayonnaise with the tangerine ladle would be a real find. Okay, we're going to take a break right here. I'm going to stop sharing. Let me go to the chat and see what the questions are here.
Dave, it's Les Rowe.
Yes, Les?
When you showed the 8 or 8.5 inch candle holders, there was a person that bought a set of those off eBay, and he bought them as Grecian gold.
Yes.
And then when they arrived and he unpacked them, he was very, very surprised when he found out they were actually tangerine.
Yeah, I knew that story. And the one candle holder that I got it down in the Cincinnati area, found it in an antique mall, and it was listed as Marigold Carnival.
Oh.
And very reasonably priced. And needless to say, I was more than glad to relieve them of that Marigold candle holder. And that is a problem. I see there's a couple of dealers that occasionally do sell some deep marigold items on eBay, and they call it tangerine. But you can pretty well tell if they show the bottom of it that the bottom is crystal and not yellow like a true tangerine should be able to have.
Hey, Dave.
Yes.
On the chat screen, we got some questions. Maybe it's easier if I read the questions to you or whatever. is all orange glass struck?
Is
That's
all
from,
my feeling is if it came out of the Tangerine batch by Fenton, they would have tried to strike it and may not have it may not have stricken very well. And part of that is it really has to be in what they call a reducing atmosphere, which means that in the glory hole, it has to be a little bit on the lean side of oxygen in order to be the reducing atmosphere in there. And if they don't have that, it won't strike as well. Blanco makes a lot of orange glass, and as far as I know, that's not a striking glass. They've got a formula that makes orange without the need for striking.
okay. Then we had a question. We'd have to, I guess, go back to the slide on candy jars. Can you do that? Because we actually have two questions about candy jars. One of them is whether a certain candy jar has a number. And then Pete has a question about candy jar shapes that he wants to ask. So maybe you can answer Kathy's question first. Does the Tangerine candy jar in the middle upper have a number?
In other words, this ball-shaped one, and the answer is no. If that had a number, I would have put it on there. We have. I had shown this one to Frank several times, and he says we don't have a number for that in any of our catalogs. Now, a jar that was made at the same time was the number 10, and my feeling is it's probably a low number in there. And he's actually looked at these. Originally, we thought that the lids on the number 10 and the lid of this were the same lid, but they're not. The one on the jar is slightly larger than the number 10 candy jar. So there's still some mysteries out there that we don't know what the answers are.
Okay, now can you unmute? Can you unmute Pete so that he can ask his question about candy jar shapes?
I believe Pete can
Or
unmute
Pete,
himself.
can you unmute yourself and ask your question about candy jar shapes?
Hi.
Hi. How
Okay.
are you? What's your question about candy jar shapes?
How do candy jars get their shape?
How do they get their shape? That is Everett's question. Dave, do you want to explain how candy jars get their shapes?
Now, stretch glass is what we call generally press molded glass. That means there was a mold, a droplet of hot glass was put into that mold, and then there was a plunger that would come down and press into that mold, and the hot glass would take the shape of the mold. So virtually all of those candy jars were made in a mold, including the one that looks like a bowl. That was actually made in a bowl mold and would have come out there with straight sides, but then they had to fold the glass in by warming it in to make it so that it closed at the top and the lid would fit. So you can imagine, I've got a couple of those in other colors, and the lids often are really tight in there because they didn't shape the opening to the lid size exactly. Okay, any other questions?
One more question.
Right now, I'm sorry, Cal.
We have one more question from Carol. She says, please define strike.
Striking is the amount of, in this case, if we were going to strike ruby, the glass that would come out of the pot would be yellow in color. And when I would put it in that reduction glory hole, the mixture of oxygen in the air would mix with the chemicals that are in the glass, and it would change color from yellow to red. And that change is called striking. And it's the same thing with the tangerine. The goal of the tangerine striking is to get deeper and deeper orange, because again, it comes out of the pot looking yellow. But then when it's put in that glory hole and put in the reduction atmosphere, it changes color or strikes into the orange color.
All right, we have one more question from Angela. When were candlesticks made? Approximately what year? And are short candlesticks more collectible and older than taller ones, or the other way around?
Well, the answer to me is it comes to rarity. The short ones are much more easily obtainable, you know, that for the reason that reason alone, they should be less expensive. The colonial style or the 8.5 inch ones are very difficult to find. And so there's a lot of candlestick holders or candle holder collectors that would like at least one example of that. And so if they ever come up for bidding, there's going to be a whole pile of people that want that one candle holder for their collection. Now, when it comes to the short ones, they do range considerably in color. And so again, if you can find one that has the deeper orange, in my thinking, that would be a bit more desirable than one that's more yellow.
And what year approximately did they start making them?
Those candle holders, the molds were actually used from the very beginning. So probably in 1917, 1918, those molds had been made and were being used. But remember, the Tangerine ones were only made probably in 28 and 29.
Hey, Dave?
Yes.
Dave, would you like me to show them?
Yeah. Now remember, Cal, if you've got some of the dolphin pieces or some of the pieces that I just showed, we're going to have the vases and the bowls coming up next in the next session. So if you've got some of those items you want to share, we'll share them after I talk about those.
No, I was actually going to ask you if you wanted me to show them a real 8.5 inch candlestick.
Yeah.
And also, you may recall that Randy Clark recently sold a pair of late period 8.5 inch candlesticks, which have a handwritten note on the bottom of them, sticker on the bottom that says Tangerine. Now, you and I have not had a chance to look at these in person together. You looked at them at the auction and I looked at them because they eventually got sent to me. But they are not that far apart. So I don't know if you want to share them now or you want to share them later.
If you've got them now, we just talked about the candle holders. I'll actually, if you want to share some of your Tangerine, I've got you locked in as being the primary view here.
Okay,
if you want to go get them.
You do whatever you can. If I do this, do you see it?
Yep.
Okay. Well, folks, this is the pair of candlesticks.
Look.
This is the pair of candlesticks that Les was talking about.
Can't get the goddamn voice.
Lost my feed for some reason.
That
I don't know
was
what the hell I'm doing. I can see it, but I can't.
Grecian gold. Now,
Can't hear nothing. It's just about good.
when you see these, you can tell that they're obviously not Grecian
Yeah,
gold.
but the two gay guys that run our club. Yeah.
Well, these are old ones. These were made in 1920 something. This one is the candlestick that Randy Clark sold in an auction, came out of a Fenton collection.
Cal, you need to hold it up higher. We
You'll
can't
be
see
able
the
to
bottom
actually
half.
see the sticker on the bottom, but all right, maybe you can, except it's going to be a mirror image. That actually says Tangerine on it. We don't know whose handwriting that is, but whoever it was made sure that that sticker wasn't going to come off that piece of glass because they got it on there with Scotch tape. Now, you can argue that these are either amber, or maybe they really are an attempt by Fenton in the late period to make a pair of tangerine sticks.
They look
Let
pink.
me show you what they look like when you put them together. Jeff has given us some extra light here. And you'll see
Cal,
this one-
could you hold those further away from the computer and a little bit higher? There you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
So you'll see that this one here is the new one. It's a little lighter. This one here is the old one. It's the very nice dark tangerine. Well, anyways, I just thought I would mention that. If you want to see the little sherbet, it's right here. It's almost always on display at Lakeview. So if you guys come by, you'll get to see it, and you'll see that it's got nice color to it. Although, as Jeff was mentioning when we were looking at the pictures, if the light strikes it just right, it does look green. Let's see.
Dave, is there any way you could put him on the full screen instead of just the small?
You have to do that yourself.
Yeah, for all of you, if you'll run your cursor up to the upper right corner, you'll see a little square there that's really 4 arrows going, and hit that and it will shift you to full screen.
Oh, great.
How about that? All right. Well, Dave showed you a picture of the Butterball server. This happens to be the oval Butterball server, and one of my favorite pieces of Tangerine. It's got great color to it, although once again you'll see that there's quite a bit of yellow left in the handle.
Thought maybe I'd get more color if I turned my light off.
Let's see. All right, I think maybe that's it, Dave. We got vases coming up. Did you want to see did you do bowls yet?
No, we'll do that in a
Okay.
minute. I didn't know if you had any dolphin pieces that you wanted to share.
I do have a dolphin piece. Yes, I
Okay.
was able to grab one dolphin piece.
Woohoo!
It's the dolphin fan vase with the diamond optic interior.
Yep.
And of course, when you get the dolphins, the diamond optic interior makes it very special. Any of you who are collecting dolphin pieces, you'll find fewer of the dolphin with the diamond optic than you will the ones without the diamond optic, except when you get to center handle servers. When you get to center handle servers, you'll find that most of the center handle servers with the dolphin handles are diamond optic, and the rare ones are the ones that don't have diamond optic. So it's just like everything else in stretch glass. There's always an exception to the rule. And, so in this case, diamond optic in bowls, comports, fan vases. I don't know that we are even aware ever of seeing a diamond optic candy jar with dolphin handles. Those are the rare ones. And in the center handle dolphin servers, the rare ones are the ones without the diamond optic.
Right.
Okay, Dave, I think that's it for me for now.
Okay, Wally and Maxine, did you have some tangerine pieces you wanted to share?
Yep, I just took us off mute. So right now on our screen, all we see is, okay. All we see is a black screen. I think it must be Paul's trying to get on or something. Can you, yeah, Paul Barubi.
We can see you just fine.
Okay.
Yeah, a large.
Oh, yeah. Hold that back closer to Maxine. There you go. Up a little higher.
Right there. Up
Yeah,
higher.
that's a laurel leaf octagonal bowl. That's
Large
really
bowl.
nice.
Yes.
Can we see the side of it? Oh, Yeah, there we go. Yeah, beautiful tangerine color.
I have the platter, but it was too hard to get it from behind all the other stuff.
He's got more.
Hey,
And this was my very first piece of stretch glass. Bought it in 1982 when I lived in Rough and Ready, California. Went in the antique mall and they had $15 on it, and I wasn't going to pay that. I went back 6 months later and gave in.
That one actually looks like it might have a little opalescent edge to it also.
It does, little.
Okay. Yeah, nice piece.
He's got more. He brought everything you told him to bring.
And here's one of the 231
Yep.
council bowl, and move.
Yep.
How's
Hold
that?
that. Let's see that from the side. There you go. Beautiful.
This is one of the lighter color tangerines.
Uh-huh.
And then here is a dark color.
Ooh, that's nice. Yeah. Okay. That looks like it's got an opal edge also.
Just on the edge, yeah.
Yeah, right there on the edge. Okay. So we have the card tray.
Talked to you. He went out and got all those things you told him to bring up. So.
And a mayonnaise. Where's your ladle?
That's a marigold one.
Uh-huh.
You got an extra one?
No.
The marigold one fits just fine then.
Yep.
And
there's a round twin dolphin comport. Beautiful.
the light color.
Uh-huh.
And here's the large size square one.
Uh-huh. Very nice. That looks like it might have a faint opal edge also.
Does.
Okay.
And the bonbon without a lid.
There's a number 10 lidless. All right.
I like the color. It's darker right around here, right around the top of the stem, and right around here, and the rest of it's yellow here.
Right. Very nice.
And that's all the tangerine.
Did you want the amber
Do
now?
you
or
want the
later?
amber now?
No, we'll do that when we finish the amber part.
Okay.
Okay. I think in sake of time, let's move on here.
We're going to the dentist tomorrow. 8:30. Hey, don't
Yes.
stop, please.
I won't. So now we'll get into some of the bowls. Probably some of the larger bowls is this 550 footed bowl. This one comes quite often with a wide flared edge or even a rolled rim. I don't think I've ever seen the aquarium shape in this, but the aquarium shape is known in this 550. So if you find one in the aquarium shape, that would be a real rarity. Now we'll go just to sort of a montage of the different bowls. We saw Wally showed us the 231 low bowl. I've seen one of these with a more rounded, sort of a rose bowl shape in the bowl, but the low bowl shape is the much more common one. The number 600 comes in a couple of different shapes. You can see a low one and a cupped in one. And then we haven't found the number for this ringed bowl, but since there's 5 rings, the collectors have sort of all decided, well, we'll just call it the 5 ring bowl. And here it is with a crimp and a cupped in. And again, you can see the real difference in striking of these. This one struck really deep orange and the other one is more yellow. There's a fair number of 647s. This would be the largest bowl that I'm aware of in Tangerine. And again, it comes in the flared cup, low. And Fenton, when they did this rolled rim that really rolled it over, their term for that was special rolled rim. And you can see this one really struck the Tangerine on the outside of that rolled rim very nicely. The 857 bowls are quite obtainable. I think there's at least 2 of these on eBay right now, but there are some tough shapes to get in here. Probably the most common shapes are the crimped one, the wide flared one, and the rolled rim one. The really tough one to get would be the cupped one and the one that we call normal. Now, the reason why we call that normal is that this supposedly would be the shape that it comes out of the mold. So the plunger would come down in here, would create that shape. And so there was no further shaping for that. And the industry always called that normal. When we get to the smaller ones, the 847s, again, these come in quite a variety of shapes. Here's a flared one, a cup one that's normal. Now, when you get to the 847, if you find one that's normal, that probably was the base of a candy jar that had the flower top. But again, I've seen several of these that look normal, but I've never found the lid or a flower top that goes with that. When it comes to the diamond optic, remember that Fenton just named anything that has diamond optic number 1502. So this is actually the number 600 mold, bowl mold, but they use the diamond optic plunger. And so it just turns it into a 10-inch 1502 bowl. Here's the tulip bowl, the 848, and you can see it's flared. I believe there's a low one in this one and a cupped one. Again, the flared one is probably the most common of those. When it comes to the comports, there's only a few of those. The 260 is probably the most common one, but these range from being entirely yellow to the ones like this that you can see it struck very heavily at the base and very heavily at the top. And actually this has a pretty heavy opalescent ring at the top of it also. The 917 is also fairly obtainable. I've seen several of those. They usually come with that special rolled rim. And a few years ago when Russell and Kitty Umbraco came to our convention, he showed up with this weird doubled handled comport. Russell said that he had found that number in some Fenton catalog that I believe was from the 30s and 40s. But obviously they had that mold and made this comport in the Tangerine. Finally, let's get to the vases. There's a whole string of bud vases. Now this bud vase, it doesn't show it that well, but this is almost opalescent from the top all the way down here to the bulbous part of it. And as you can see, it also struck a very deep orange, a very desirable color. Here's the 251 with the Jack in the Pulpit top. And then there is a smaller bud vase, the 354, that I believe Cal has one of these in Tangerine. Then the little 570 that has the rib optic on the inside fan vases are known both in the small and the larger size, the 5-inch size and the 6-inch size. And then for those of you that recognize the Fenton Parfait, there's one or two of those that they
I think it looks Tangerine to me with all the lights off.
and you can see the large Tangerine in there.
All faded out.
Yeah, it does look.
The what I call the ball based vase, the 572 and 573. These are ones that they tortured these in many different ways. When they made it into the fan vase, they called it the 572. All the rest of them are 573s. Here's one with a rolled rim. This one is a hexagonal shape, and here's a crimped one.
Well, we got a new computer.
Hmm.
We're talking.
Also, there were a lot of vases in the 847s. You might think that this is an 857, but it's not. This is actually one that was swung just a little bit. They come in round. Here's a swung with a fan shape. Here's one that's just fan shape, and you can see it wasn't swung, so it doesn't have a lengthening in the base of it. Here's an opened one that's round, and here's another fan. Now, I put these two fans in here to show you the difference between, you know, it's the same piece coming out of the same mold, but one struck really deep orange and the other one didn't strike much at all. It's more of a yellow color. There are actually very few of the 857s, and Cal and I were talking about this. The only ones I've seen are the fan shape. I don't know why they didn't do any other shapes with the large one. When it comes to other vases, there are 6-inch, 8-inch, and 10-inch vases. Some people just call these flip vases, and they can come plain or with a diamond optic interior. And remember, if they've got a diamond optic interior, they now become the 1502. And there's one of these where the 1502 10-inch one was actually swung into a very tall vase. Also the ring pieces, remember that there's a flower pot with the rings and the little dish that fits in, but then there's also a larger bowl that has the rings. And then these bowls came in two different sizes, and both of those were swung, either one into about a 12 to 14-inch height, and then the larger ones was generally swung out to a 15 to sometimes even 18-inch height on those. Finally, a couple of plates. Wally showed us the bowl that had the laurel leaf design on it, and that bowl would fit on this large plate. And then there's very few of the little 8-inch serving plates that have the laurel leaf octagonal. But as far as I can tell, those are the only Tangerine plates that have shown up. Okay, we're gonna stop here. And Cal, I'm gonna let you show your vase first.
Okay. Let me do that.
As you can tell, Cal has to back up for this one.
This is the diamond optic swung vase. Let me show you, before we show you the vase, let me show you the other vase that it came from. So this is the vase that they swung. Okay, this is the largest of the so-called flip vases that's been flared out. You'll see this one has a very nice opalescent edge on it here, but not a super deep tangerine color. But that's what the vase looked like before they started swinging it, if you can see that. Now, I'm not going to swing this for you. And I will show you the whole vase. And there it is. This vase is, I think, around 17 inches tall. And you can, you know, this would have, I'm not going to do it, but this would have been held in the snap, and it would have been that vase, and the person who was in charge of swinging vases, whatever they were called, would have swung this vase back and forth like this to the point where gravity would have extended this vase down to be the 17 inches that it is. So I hope I'm getting it where you can see it. I'm also hoping, with the help of Jeff's light here, that you're getting to see that there really is diamond optic in there.
Yeah, we can see those just fine.
Yeah, so it's much more common to find the ring vase than it is to find a diamond optic vase. What while we're talking about ring vases, here's the ring vase, or at least a ring vase. You see this also, of course, was swung from the flower pot, but it did not get nearly as long or tall, however you want to say it. Here's, again, I'm going to back up so you can hopefully see this. Here's the two vases side by side. You'll see that the diamond optic one is, you know, a good 5 inches taller than the rib optic one. Now, in the slide, Dave showed you the larger and the medium size diamond optic vase, but I just want to make sure that you see that there is also one of the little ones. So these swung vases come in 3 sizes: small, medium, and large. I showed you the large one in a minute ago. This is the very small one. And then the one that Dave showed in the picture is the medium-sized one. Okay?
Thanks, Cal. Did anybody else want to show some tangerine?
Hey, Dave, before you go away, look, if Wally can put a marigold ladle in his tangerine mayonnaise, I could put a marigold top on top of my tangerine melon rib, and now we can see what this would look like if it had a flower top on it. So there it is, and I have the bottom to the marigold one, so the top will go back on the marigold one. But I just thought, since Wally had married his marigold ladle to his tangerine bowl, I thought I'd marry my marigold top to my tangerine bottom. All right.
All right.
Hey, Dave,
Yes.
I have a vase to show you.
Okay.
I wasn't muted. They'd have heard you say that.
Now, you may not be able to see us. Hold it further away from the camera. Pretty close to your face. Up. There you go. Yeah, that's a really nice sort of trumpet shape with the ball base. Looks like a really nice deep tangerine also.
And that's from your plate 337 in your 1998 book.
Right.
You called it a scarce shape.
And that's probably true. I see more of those with a either the fan shape top or the rolled rim top. As a matter of fact, I've got 2 of the rolled rim ones, but I think I've only got 1 of the lightly flared ones like that.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
I have a couple of pieces. This is Peggy. I have a couple of pieces that are really the only tangerine that I have. And this, I think, is the 847 bowl.
Yes, that's the 847, correct.
And it has a really, it's well struck. It's deep orange.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that I have is the 2 fairly common candlesticks, but they are, they're also very well struck. And this one has sort of a scalloped edge when they stretched it.
Right. And it also looks like they both have a little opalescent ring on the bases too.
Yes.
That
Yeah,
sort of whitish look.
Yeah, especially on this one.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey, Dave. This is Vicki.
Uh-huh.
And I have this vase. I think it's, what was it, 753 or something like that?
Right, with the crimp top, yes.
With the crimp top, yeah. It's got some pretty good striking.
Yeah, that really has a dark orange on the top of it, and maybe just a hint of opal on that very edge of that.
Okay. And then I have John's 5-ring bowl.
Okay.
So,
yeah, that's neat. That's neat.
Cal should recognize that one.
So that's all we have.
Okay, thank you.
Dave, I have a couple of pieces I'd like to share.
Sure.
Okay. First is my 260 compote. Now, when I buy these things, okay, I buy them because they have opal edges.
Yeah, that one's, I can see the opal on that one shining through very nicely, both on the base and the top.
Right. That's in my collection. And then I have this little, I think it's a 251 vase.
Yes, it is.
Okay, with an opal edge on it.
Yeah. Actually, that one looks like it's opal about a third of the way up to the top.
Yeah, it is. It's about right about here.
Yeah.
I do have a little story about this. Was I had another one, and I was cleaning it, and I was putting a tube brush down the middle of it, and it got a little stuck. So I pulled it up, and the vase came apart.
Wow.
And so I tossed it, and I said, I'll never find another one. Okay. I think I was waiting for this one because this one was a lot nicer than the one that I broke.
The fate's got you, huh?
Yes.
Okay.
Hi, Dave. This is Gary. I have this tangerine. I don't know if it's a plate or a bowl because it does have the indentation in the center, but then it's flared out.
Yeah, that would be, that looks like the 647 wide flared bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a beauty.
Yeah, we got this at a carnival glass auction, which is always nice because you can pick up stretch rather nicely.
Sure. It's not there.
Is that all you wanted to share?
Yeah, for tangerine.
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna show a couple of my pieces.
I'm gonna jump in. I also have the 573.
Hold on, let me. Who was that again?
This is Kathy. I think my internet is not good enough.
No, we got you. Okay.
Okay. So I have a 573 crimped also,
Yes.
but if you can see, the opal is these funny little stripes inside the vase. It's
Hey,
just,
can you hold that a little bit closer to you?
yeah.
You got it on the edge. There we go. All right.
I don't know if you can see, there's actually white stripes in the glass.
Right. I've
Not
seen
up on the
that.
edge.
I think I had mentioned that there's one of the little lemon servers that had stripes of coloring in it also.
And then the other piece is the tulip bowl.
Yeah, nice. Hey, wake up. Tell Galen to wake up back there.
He's awake. He's just on another planet.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks, Kathy.
This is Kenda. I'm kind of new to Stretch, but I have this tangerine cigarette holder that I just got a month ago.
Oh my, that's a nice one, a nice oval one. Yeah.
It's got
It looks
really
like
nice
it's
stretch
really
down here,
orange
too.
all the way through.
Yeah. So anyway, I wanted to share. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thanks for sharing. Okay, I was just going to show a couple of mine. I did want to show that there is some real differences in the color. Here's the fan vase and the round one. If you've not seen the swung parfait dish, this is that one. Wow. And it's got that really beautiful handkerchief top to it. And then finally, in the Randy Clark auction, I noticed that this was in the box. And it's a diamond optic plate, but when I got them out, they're not iridized. And I did want to point out to you that as we started out the tangerine, Fenton made a fair amount of tangerine that wasn't stretched. And that appears to have been early, probably in that 1927 time, when they made the tangerine without much of the stretch. And then in 28 and 29, they stretched it.
Hey, Dave, can I show a couple more pieces?
Sure.
We move on to Amber. So
yep.
Here's one of my early pieces of Tangerine stretch glass. I don't remember where I got it, and so I don't have a story to go with it, but it is a fairly interesting, unique piece in that it is attached to this silver plate bottom. And when I mean attached, I mean attached. There's a hole drilled through the middle, and this silver plate knob goes right through the bowl, right into the base. And it's actually quite attractive. I wish that sometime maybe I could find a pair of candle holders that have this base on them, and that would make a very nice console set. This is a recent acquisition. Yes, you can see this. I can't move it around too much because it's 4 different pieces. But this is the ebony nymph in a flower frog, an ebony flower frog inside a tangerine petal bowl, sitting on a Fenton black 5-legged base. And I assure you that it's probably much more attractive in real life than it is on the screen at the moment. I can't tip it too much more because it will fall over. But it is really quite attractive. Now, Dave, you were just talking about lemon servers, so I went to the cabinet and I pulled out the lemon servers. Here's a lemon server that's got a good deal of opalescence around the edge of it. In fact, you can see it, I think, quite good on the screen at this point.
Yep. Oh my God.
This one, and I don't know if you're going to be able to see this or not, but this has actually got some of the red lines in it that Dave has been talking about. Tom and Sandy Minoski have one that is considerably better than this, and the red lines in it are marvelous. They're very deep, and you can see them quite well. This one, you know, I would say you almost have to come and visit in order to see the red lines in that one. But I don't think you'll find a lemon server that's got a lot more opal around the edges than that one.
Yep.
Okay.
That one's easily
That's
seen.
all.
Okay. Let's see here. I'm going to.
Hey, Dave.
Yes.
I've got one piece. It's not Tangerine, but in the late 20s, I don't know if you can see this. In the late 20s, a big competitor of Fenton was U.S. Glass, and orange was very popular in the late 20s.
Right.
And this is a piece that U.S. Glass made, sold under the Tiffin name. And then years later, this was actually cut by King and Sons. But 20s piece, you know, 20s was, orange was a good color. It was a very good color. So
yeah,
wanted to show a competitor.
Okay, Dave, Wally's got a couple pieces that he might as well put in here, he said.
All righty, let me pin your video. Okay. Okay, we got a fan vase.
Large cowbell.
Yeah. Yeah, you'd need a pretty good sized cord to hang that around your neck.
Okay, one more.
You forgot to show these before. Okay.
Okay. And then the fan vase. Yeah, hold it back a little bit. There you go. Yep.
We have a
That's
Looks like it's got an opal edge to it. Yep.
lamp.
Okay.
Hey, thanks. We need to move on. I didn't want to take all night with this.
There is a question.
Oh, can you read me the question?
Sure. Let's see. What was the purpose? Talking about vases, the swung vases. What was the purpose that they were made so big, or was it just the style?
I have no idea. I wasn't there at that time. But my feeling is you know, if you take a look at Blinko does a lot of swung vases, and people just like them, and depending on how much swinging you got, you know, they all come out at different lengths, and all of them are unique a little bit. So anybody that wants something that's just a little bit different and a little bit unique, a swung vase would be an ideal item to get. At least that's my opinion. And I'm going to stick with it. Let's get into the amber. When it comes to the amber, as I mentioned to you, there were quite a few companies that made the amber. This is a Vineland old gold piece. And what's kind of unique about this one, if you'll notice, this one's got 6 crimps on it, but there's one crimp that, typical of Vineland, they didn't do it right. The crimp actually comes in. So I call this my giant cigarette bowl. It's a 10-inch bowl, but it has one crimp inside that would probably be for a cigar rather than for a cigarette. Well, let's get to the rest of the amber. Fenton did make amber. It's a nice light amber color, and they really only use 2 molds for this. In the bowl shapes, they use the number 600. And here you can see it in a low shape, a flared shape, and a plate shape using that number 600 mold. They also use their really large 647 mold. And I've got a picture of one that's flared and cupped, and then a low bowl. This is a good 12 inches across in that low bowl. It's a pretty good sized item. And the only other amber pieces that I'm aware of are their flip vases, the 1542s. These are the ones that are stuck up pieces. That means they have a ground bottom to them. And I've got 3 of these, one in the normal shape. This is how it would have come out of the mold. Then they did a 3 crimp, which is actually 3 sides up. And then one that has a flared and cupped top to it. None of these are common. When it comes to Fenton amber, if you find them, even if you don't like the color, pick them up because they're not easy to find. Some of the other rare Fenton pieces, there is one big cookie basket in amber. This was in their museum for many years until they had to close, and then it got sold. And I know of 2 or 3 of these 1504 triple dolphin pieces, and I believe there's one in the auction this next week if anybody's interested in trying to obtain one of those. When it comes to Imperial, Imperial made their what we call the wide panel, the normal 8 to 10 inch flared bowl, and I've got pictures of it plain, and one with a floral painting on it. They also made a fair number of their 8-inch wide panel plates, and that's probably one of the most obtainable in the amber when it comes to Imperial. They also made the number 600 sherbet, and the sherbet also has an underplate. I don't have the underplate here, but I think some of our participants might have it. And when I was going through this, I realized that I had a New Art shade that, as you can see, it almost looked red, but if you look at the rim of this, it's a dark amber glass. And it's the only one that I've seen, but it's a New Art shade with that brilliant ruby gold iridescence applied to the amber glass. Finally, we've got the Northwood Rosita Amber, and I've got that bowl here to show you. Some people have thought that maybe this was just a dark russet, but when you put it next to russet, it's not even close in that color. So I'm going to stop sharing screen here. Does anybody want to show us some of their amber pieces of the ones that I've just shown? We're going to get to US Glass and Vineland here in a minute.
Ready? I want him to do some.
That was Ellen?
No, I said Wally's ready if you want him to do some.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Okay. Go ahead, Wally.
Yeah, hold on, Wally. Let me get you pinned here. Okay.
Wide panel, decorated.
So now, are those flowers blue and pink, or what color would you?
Orange and orange and yellow.
Okay,
The
orange and yellow.
leaves
Okay,
are- the leaves are blue.
okay.
Got a couple more here for you.
Okay.
This is the naked version.
Yep. Okay.
Okay. And then
Here's one more, another one.
Yeah, that would be a Vineland piece.
and that is dark, dark.
Yep. Okay.
And
Two more.
the sherbet and the underplate.
Uh-huh. Can you hold those closer to you? Further away from the camera. Up. There we go. Now put the sherbet in the plate. Beautiful. Okay. Yep.
One more here.
And then the Vineland comport.
Actually, that's a U.S. glass.
Sorry about that. Sorry about that one.
It's all right. It's got the thin ribs on the outside of it. Yeah.
That's pretty.
Yeah.
I buy it because I like it. I don't care who made it.
Yeah, they really flared those out and give them outstanding stretch marks in there.
That's all mine.
Okay. Cal, did you have your decorated bowl?
I do. I think my decorated bowl is very much like Wally's decorated bowl, except that I'm missing a little bit of the paint that Wally's got.
Okay.
But my flowers are also
I'm giving you my paint.
Yeah, my flowers are also yellow with orange centers, and there's a blue line going around, and there would be kind of bluish green leaves on there if they hadn't gotten rubbed off.
And there's orange over on the top of the blue line between the two blue lines
Yeah.
on ours.
On the edge. I have two blue rings.
I don't know, Dave, you and I were talking about whether we think this now means that this was decorated at the factory or what, but certainly it seems like the two decorators were pretty good friends.
Yeah, my feeling is those are the same decoration, and so they were either done at the factory or a professional decorating shop. Those floral decorations weren't applied by an amateur.
Yeah. Now, I thought I would show you these. Here's two amber plates. This one here is nice and dark. If you look at it in the right light, it's very dark. This one is much lighter. And, you know, these amber plates used to be rare. If you go back 10 or 15 years, I think John Madeley had a few of them. And when he was breaking up his collection, he was kind enough to share one apiece with several of us. I think I also managed to get one out of Phil Wan at one time.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden one day a stack of them showed up on eBay. And so then I had about 8 or 10 of them. And I think since then a couple more stacks have showed up. So they're not quite as rare as we thought they were 10 or 15 years ago. But they're still darn nice plates. Dave, I don't know if I'm jumping ahead or not, but is this a Fenton bowl?
Yeah, that would be a 647 flared and cupped.
Yeah, so I didn't know it. I didn't think.
Now let me take a look at the bottom of that. Flip it so I can see is the rim of that sharp or rounded? The edge to that.
It's straight, flat.
Well, not the rim, but the actual where the snap is.
This here?
No.
Here.
Yeah.
This is rounded.
Okay. That may be Vineland then.
Okay, well, yeah, it could be. They must have done it early because it doesn't have a lot of that.
Doesn't have the chatter marks in it.
Okay, well, I didn't mean to spoil your story for Vineland. I just thought it looked so much like a Fenton bowl that I would get it out and see if it was actually Fenton.
Okay.
All right, back to you.
Yeah, let's finish this out, and then we'll just have a general discussion, and those that need to leave can leave. We'll finish up with the rest of the amber here. As I indicated to you at the beginning, US Glass probably is the one company that made the most amount of amber, and it is obtainable. They made a whole set of what we've sort of dubbed the raisin points. And let me point that out. Basically, what this one has is an optic paired rays on the inside. Those rays end in these little points, and so the edges of these will have a scalloped edge. Here's the low-footed bowl. There's two sizes of this one, a small one and a large one, basically an 8-inch one and 10-inch one. There's also a stuck-up bowl, which means it's got a ground foot. This also comes in two sizes, an 8-inch and 10-inch. Then there's two high-footed comports, a tall one and a short one. And then there's a little sherbet or sauce. And this one was stretched so much that the raisin points, if they were in there, don't show up at all. Here's some more of the raisin points. Here you can see a plate. This is a 10-inch plate. Here's the mayonnaise. And then here's a little low-footed bowl that's been pulled out into a tray. This doesn't have the rays in it. And Wally just showed you an even better example of this little comport that has the external ribs on the outside here and excellent stretch on the top of it. This is actually a US Glass candy jar. And so it's the base of the candy jar that's been flattened down into a comport. When we get to Vineland, Vineland's our last company that made amber. As far as we know, there is one piece. I've got this bowl, and that's very similar to the one that Cal was showing that has the original sticker on it. So the bowl shape is number 15, and the color is old gold. As we've always discussed when it comes to Vineland, there seems to have been almost no consistency when it came to their colors. So I don't know if this really dark amber is also old gold or not, but my feeling is it probably is. Here's a console set that uses the smaller bowl from Vineland and the little 6-inch candle holders with those. Here are some of the other bowls. Here's the wide base bowl that if you take a look at it, the coloring in this is all swirly. Gives it almost a slag look. And here's their medium-sized bowl, one with the crimp and has that cigar crimp on the inside of it, and one with a rolled rim that's in there. They also made candle holders. I've already shown you the trumpet-shaped ones, but they also made the 10.5-inch colonial-style candle holders. And there's actually two different kinds of amber here. If you look at the tops of these, this one you can see is a red-brown amber color one, and this one is more of an olive-brown amber color. And again, I don't know if those were different colors and they give them different names, or whether this is just the variation that Vineland had, and all of these could be old gold. But again, we don't know. No, there's nobody alive anymore to tell us, and as far as I can tell, there's no records for these. Finally, I did want to put a pitch in. Fenton actually made more amber stretch in their late period than they did in their early period. And here's just a small selection of several of the bowls and a little rose bowl here that's crimped in their amber. And they actually had a couple of different names for these. Harvest Gold was one of the really common colors, but I think there were some other names that they used for this late period amber. Okay, that's it. I'm going to stop sharing, and it's time for you folks to share.
Hey, this is Gary. I just wanted to show my amber Imperial smooth panels vase.
Woohoo! Now that's going to be a tough piece to find. Yeah, that's a nice one.
So I was at the Tampa Bay convention in Florida one year, and I walked into Gary Lickford's room, and I have a collection of these bases. They're all, you know, I have the different size bases, but I think this is like 3 or so inches across, and I have about 8 or 9 of them in different colors. So when I walked into Gary Lickford's room and I saw this on the top shelf, I went right for it. So
good selection.
Because I had never seen it. I have various other colors, but I was really happy to find that one.
Yeah, and for our participants, it's not common, but Amber Ice was actually the name that Imperial used for that amber stretch glass.
I'm very happy to.
So Dave, I've got a vase here that I'd like to have you take a crack at identifying. You may say it's marigold, I don't know, but it looks awfully amber. It looks more amber than it does on the screen.
What's the bottom of that look like?
It looks like 3 pieces of wood. See, whatever the mold wasn't very smooth.
Well, what I'm thinking of is that's a piece of art glass that somebody made, and they set it on a platform that give it that it looks like it's a blown molded piece to me.
Okay.
And they set it down to flatten the bottom of it.
Well, that would make sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe you would like to see some more of the newer glass. This is the Fenton.
Yeah, hold that
new
closer
amber.
to
This
you.
is the trumpet vase with the ball in the foot.
Yeah.
Decorated, and this has both original sticker. Well, it has the original Fenton sticker on it, and then it has a retired sticker on it. You can see the painting. I think it's hard with the light to get the painting to show up exactly right, but it's green leaves, red berries. Might have I don't know. I'm not
I
sure.
have a
what-
signature on the bottom.
I'll show you this one. This is a base. This is also amber. This is a lighter amber, and it comes with an iridized amber base. I will make this comment. The base and the vase don't fit very tight together. This would not have done in the old days. They would have made this base fit better, but it came together like this, I believe. You'll see that it's got sort of pink and white flowers that almost double as butterflies on it. And then if you go around, it's got some more decorating on the back. The top of it is nicely crimped. And like I said, you've got a very nice iridized base that is also amber. Another piece, in the late period, Fenton made a lot of baskets. And so you can find stretch glass baskets in most of the colors. Here's a real nice one that's in stretch glass, and you'll see, if I hold this correctly, you can see the very nice stretch effect that's around the edges there. The handle, of course, is not iridized because they put the handles on after they did the iridizing and the stretching. Now, those are just a few pieces of the new stretch. Here are the candle holders that Dave showed you the pictures of. And you can probably see now that you're looking at them in person, as you did in Dave's pictures, because his colors are excellent. This one is the one that's got the reddish brown. This is the one that would almost pass for russet, but it's not russet because it was made by vinyl. So they're out there. You just got to look for them. That's it for me for amber, I think.
I'm going to show you my one. It's a fairly recent acquisition in amber. And it is a new Fenton piece. It's the one that has the leaf motif on the outside. And it's a fairly dark amber and has a really nice stretch effect in it. So for those of you that like the more recent material, there's some really pretty things that they made in amber in that later period. Well, I don't know about you folks, but it's been an hour and a half. If we were at convention, there would be people doing this, you know, to wind things up. And so I really appreciate everybody being here and sharing your glass. And I've had a fun time. I hope you have too.
I've got a piece. Can I show, Dave?
Absolutely. And I just wanted to wrap that up for any of you that are tired or need to go do some other things. And I'll stay around for as long as anybody wants to talk about stretch glass.
Dave, this is U.S. glass, and it's the plate 665 from your 1998 book.
No, hold that up a little higher. No, that's actually, yeah, that's a U.S. glass with the rays and points. You can see the very faint rays when it was folded out. Those rays got a little more faint, and the points are almost obliterated because it's flared out. Yeah, nice piece.
Thank you.
I want to thank you, Dave, and the Stretch Glass Society for doing this. It's been really great.
Yes, thank you.
Anybody else have anything they want to remember? Tomorrow night we're going to be here again, same place, same bat time, and we'll have you know, pull out your two best pieces, the things you're really very proud of that you'd like to show, and we'll have a show and tell tomorrow.
So before we say goodnight to everybody, first of all, I'd like to thank Dave for doing this. If we were at a convention, we would give him a round of applause. Somewhere there is a place to, yeah, there you go. I guess we can even do that here. So thank you very much, Dave. Very informative and wonderful presentation. And to all the folks who shared, very, very nice. And we appreciate all of you getting out your glass and holding it up for everybody to see. I'll just mention a couple of things about what's coming up for the rest of the week, and remind you of a couple other things. First of all, we do have a fundraiser going on for this convention. We advertised it in the information that you received, and it's advertised on the Stretch Glass website. If you want to buy tickets to have a chance to win the 3 pieces of stretch glass, you can do that through the website. And we will get your information. Vicki will put your name on tickets. We'll put the tickets in a bowl, and John Rowe is going to draw the winning tickets on Thursday before at the end of the business meeting. So if you want to participate in that, feel free. Otherwise, we've got 3 more of these great programs coming up. These programs are being recorded. Dave is going to edit these programs, and they will eventually be posted up on YouTube, so that all of you will be able to go back and see them. And everybody who wasn't able to join us tonight will also be able to go back. Now, I have just one favor to ask of everybody. If you had a good time tonight and you learned something new about stretch glass, call somebody that you know likes stretch glass that wasn't on the call tonight, and ask them to join us tomorrow night. We had, I think at the height tonight, we had about 50 people on here. And I think that's fantastic. You know what would be more fantastic? was if we had 75 people on here. So if you got a friend that likes stretch glass and you didn't see him on the screen tonight, give him a call tomorrow and say, hey, I had a great time last night. Why don't you join me tonight? Maybe we'll have a bunch more people tomorrow night. That's all I got to say, except thank you, one and all. I know we have some guests along with our members, and we're happy to have all the guests here. I know we have some folks from the Fenton clubs. We're so glad you joined us for this. We hope you found it interesting and informative. And to everyone, thank you so much. We look forward to seeing you all again tomorrow night. And like Dave said, if you've got more questions or you got more glass that you want to show him, and it can kind of be free form at this point, even if it's not Tangerine or Amber, I'm sure he'll still look at it and talk to you about it. So if you want to do that, hang around. He'll hang around until the last person gets off the call. We'll see you all tomorrow night. Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.
Night, everybody.
Good night.
Great.
Dave, I have a question.
Okay.
The book that you and John wrote in 1998.
Yes.
Have you done anything like that? We kind of use it like our stretch Bible.
I understand. I've actually started producing another book. I use the the software InDesign, and I've gotten through the Fenton chapter and the Diamond chapter. That's as far as I've gotten. But the next book is going to be an electronic ebook.
My glasses, how they reflect.
And it will be, you'll be able to download it onto your tablet or something like that. It'll actually be in PDF format. So if you don't like electronic books, you could take it to one of the print shops and they could actually print it out, and you could make your own book. But it's a slow process. And because I actually thought when I retired that I was going to have all this time to dedicate to it, and the university kept hiring me back, and finally this spring I said no longer. They actually called me this last week and said, Dave, you said no longer, but we really would like you to teach this. I said no. So maybe I will have time to get back to that book and revise it. There's so much new stuff that needs to go in there. And frankly, John and I made a couple of mistakes in that original one, and I need to get those corrected.
Well, it's a great book and we still use it. I've got your autographs on it.
Thanks. Anybody else with any questions? I think we're down to well, actually, there's still quite a few people here. Zach, did you get an invitation to the box? Or have you checked your emails today?
No, I didn't. I checked it about noon, but I haven't been on since then.
Okay.
So I'll definitely look.
Typically if there is that invitation, if you just accept the invitation, I'll get a notation that you've accepted.
Oh, okay, great, no problem.
If I don't see that, I'll send you another invitation tomorrow morning.
All right, thank you.
Sure.
Thanks, everyone. Wally and I are calling it a night. See you tomorrow night.
And thanks to you, Wally, for pulling out glass and letting Wally bring his glass out of the basement to show us.
Hey, he can do it anytime as long as he takes care of it. I probably even got on camera tonight, actually.
Thank you.
Well, see you tomorrow.
Okay.
Thanks, Dave. Night all. Night, everybody. See you.